Hi, this is Ren,
This is Casey.
and this is All Walks of Film. Well, today we are talking about the Death Note movie.
I would use the term movie in like air quotes, as loose of a definition as possible.
All right, sorry.
What are you
Technical
doing?
difficulties. All right. No, it's just one of those things on some websites. When you look at them, they just start a video. Do you want to start over?
Whatever.
All right, so yeah, let's start this over again. Hi, this is Ren.
This is Casey.
And this is All Walks of Film. So we just watched the Death Note movie last night. And boy, was it something.
It's not a movie.
What do you mean by
It's
that?
not a movie. Okay, a movie has things like plot and development and, things actually go from point A to point B, and it's a finished product that's supposed to be presented to people. And this was more like this is the footage we've edited together from on set. Let's show it to, our producer so we can maybe get more funding.
So that you make the movie afterwards, right?
Right. Like, this doesn't feel like it's a finished film.
Yeah, I mean,
It really feels like they left out half of the movie. It feels like they didn't film the ending yet. It feels like they didn't film any of the B-roll for the credits. It feels like they didn't film like a lot of the parts of characters actually doing things. It's mostly just we filmed all the parts about the characters talking about doing things.
yeah, it was a real mess. And
this isn't even, I'm not even saying like, oh, but you're a whitewashed American anime adaptation. It's not even about that. It's not even about the anime did literally every single aspect a lot better. It just doesn't, it's not a movie. Like, they didn't even make Ryuk's character do anything yet. I mean, Ryuk never did anything, but they're clearly like trying to make him do stuff. Like, he's the big puppet master for some reason.
Yeah, but that's so weird. Like, why is he the puppet master? That's not Ryuk. Ryuk just, stood by, fascinated by humans making the rules up as they go and finding ways to manipulate the Death Note, which you don't really see in the movie except for, oh, what a twist ending.
Well, yeah, it was really weird that Ryuk did nothing with the Death Note. Like, Light couldn't have even asked him. Oh, by the way, spoilers, guys. Don't watch the movie. But if you've watched the movie, I guess, already, and it's too late for you, Light couldn't have even asked Ryuk to, like, bring him the Death Note at the end of the movie. He had to write down in the Death Note that some child molester was gonna... Okay, let's start with the ending. We have to start with the ending. The movie clarifies that the Death Note cannot make you do physically impossible things. And literally every single part of the climax is physically impossible. Every single element. And it all happened because he wrote it down in the Death Note, but the Death Note can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, the Death Note does some ridiculous things at some point, but it's not like that.
Well, and also okay, I'm not even going to compare it to the original series. Nothing to do with each other. Let's put it that way. It's really funny because the director said that he read the whole manga, but that in order to Americanize it, you have to make a lot of changes. He never really clarified why you have to Americanize it to begin with. But I don't understand what part of Americanizing it means that you have to make all of the characters idiots. You have Light, who is supposed to be one of the smartest students in his country. You have L, who is the greatest detective in the world. And for some reason, they're both dumber than Mia? What the fuck happened?
Yeah, I thought it was really weird. I mean, granted, I think it is better to like make Mia a little bit smarter, but like
she's not smarter either though, because it was I was almost interesting how she wanted to sort of manipulate Light, but when it got to the point where you figure that out, where she's like, by the way, I wrote your name down in the notebook, and you can only burn one page, and that page is in the notebook, so you need to give it to me so I can burn it. As if Light can't burn it himself.
Yeah.
And then just not give Mia the notebook. Like, and that's the sort of logic that the entire film is predicated on, is for some reason people have to go to like absurd Final Destination lengths in order to do basic common sense shit. Or to not shit at all.
Yeah, it's really weird that this movie is in the Final Destination universe, because like, okay, so they take how many kills before somebody dies of an actual heart attack in the film?
There was only one heart attack in the entire movie.
And that's so weird, because like that, he didn't even find out that he could do that in the original series, like manipulate people, until like after several episodes. I get that this is like severely condensing it, but they're also like changing a whole bunch, which I'm not 100% against.
But don't change it to be even more convoluted when you have to make it smaller.
Also, like, why name the characters like Light and L and all that kind of stuff when like you're not really adapting the source material? And there was more and all that kind of stuff.
It wasn't hints. It was a storyline. There was a whole thing where like other human beings had the Death Note before, and they all wrote warnings in the Death Note for some reason.
But it would have been so much cooler if like this was a continuing of the original series, but like you wouldn't name the characters Light and L if you were doing that.
Right, like if the Death Note from the original Death Note series made its way over to America and somebody else had picked it up and we're just like going with completely different storyline. Yeah, that would have been a lot better, especially since you wrote it into your damn story to begin with. But also a lot of things just didn't make sense. Things like, oh, I have, you know, once somebody gives up ownership of the book, I have 7 days to find somebody else who will take it. Why? You're a death god. Isn't it made for you? Can't you use it? Why do you need a human being to use your damn Death Note? Is there like a quota of like how many times a person needs to kill? And then this whole thing of like, well, if you write somebody's name down, you can reverse it by burning the page, but you can only burn one page. Why work? And I know that the whole thing of like the fact that you can even write somebody's name down and you can also describe the way they die is already pretty far-fetched, and I get that, but it's like Death Note worked originally because once you accept those two things, everything else made sense around it for the most part. And this is just like, we need to throw in all these convoluted rules that do nothing and don't really do anything to the plot, but just make things more convoluted because yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because isn't people sitting around and explaining things so much fun in a movie about murdering? Like, isn't that what you really want to see?
Yeah, I think they were trying to give like nods to the anime fans, but like you need to.
When?
With
how?
Yeah, it's really difficult to say because, okay, first of all, like my biggest frustration, Ryuk is not a hard character to get wrong. He's fascinated, he's bored. Well, originally he's bored, and then he gets fascinated by the humans, like essentially manipulating the rules to the Death Note and trying interesting things with it. And in this version, he just spells out the rules and essentially
what to do all the time.
It's like Ryuk isn't a puppet master. Why are you doing it this way. And like, I can understand that like you're trying to make something different, but
well, wait, I don't, and I know I said I wouldn't compare these, but one of the things I don't understand is if you read the manga and you wanted to adapt it, out of all the things to not do, why would you ruin like every single reveal? Because any time that they sort of followed along a storyline where there was a really clever reveal, like when Ryuk shows up and he meets Light and Light's scared of him, and you know, Ryuk's like, I bet you didn't, you just like killed some bully. And then Light reveals to all of us watching, no, I've already killed like dozens of people already and it doesn't even bother me. Or like, when L goes on the news and then there's the reveal that it's not L. We thought we knew, but that's not him. Or the part where L actually does just blatantly go like, hi, here I am. You can't do anything about it. Or the part where they reveal that like Light's been doing this whole time and his dad's a cop. Like, they don't make any of these reveals. They just exposition about it beforehand, and then they do it, and then it's not surprising or interesting when it happens.
Yeah, it's so half-assed.
That's just everything about this movie, which is why it's hard for me to call it a movie, is like, even terrible movies have somebody who's trying, and nobody gives a shit. The actors aren't trying, the script is awful, the camera work is the editing makes the movie unwatchable. I don't know what anybody was going for, what they were trying to accomplish with this. Even to be like mindlessly entertaining, it's too convoluted and ridiculous for that. To be like actually an interesting watch, well, you didn't do anything interesting enough. It was just bland and boring and obnoxious.
Yeah.
It seemed like the only person it could possibly be trying to appeal to, for some reason, was the Twilight fan group. You know, you hired Mia to look like Kristen Stewart, and then you have this whole thing of like how she's really infatuated with this murderer, and they're like literally making out and fucking on top of the Death Note like all the time, and they're like a couple killer. Like the director literally watched Death Note and was like, aw, Light and Mia, Misa, hashtag relationship goals.
Yeah, and
like, who does that?
It's kind of similar to Harley Quinn and the Joker. The fact that the Joker isn't really into Harley, but Harley is super into the Joker. And then she like kind of establishes her independence and all that kind of stuff. In fact, it really is just Harley Quinn and the Joker in this movie.
No, it's not.
Why? Because
in this movie, Light is actually really, really into Mia, and Mia is actually like trying to control what he does. Well,
I'm talking about like Suicide Squad, Harley Quinn and the Joker, not
like actual Harley Quinn and the Joker.
Right. So I gotta look up this actor. I forgot what his name was, but Nat Wolff as Light Turner. Good God, his reactions in this movie were fucking priceless.
Yeah, he cries like a little girl, like a lot. Ever think that he's cool ever? Cause not really. And it's really weird because they changed the fact that he's like, they're like, he's smart, but he just doesn't give a fuck. Isn't that hot? Like, he doesn't even care about getting into fights or getting into detention. And he's just like selling the right answers off to people and like being a cheater and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, why?
Yeah. Also, like, why did they turn Light from like a preppy high schooler that was at the top of his class and all that stuff to kind of a scrappy loser? Like, honestly, I think Adam Wingard...
I think that they were trying to make it so he would be appealing on a Hot Topic t-shirt.
I think Adam Wingard, the director of this movie, saw the Andy Garfield Spider-Man and said, I want to make Light like that.
So I actually like Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man.
Yeah, but like imagine him like
he's actually a well-developed character.
Yeah, well,
he's actually interesting and funny.
Well, Adam Wingard, he started out pretty good. I honestly liked what was that movie? The Guest. The Guest was a pretty cool movie, and Dan Stevens did a really great job in that, but I didn't see You're Next. I didn't watch VHS 2.
You really? Oh, I'm shocked. Can't believe you didn't watch VHS 2.
I haven't watched all of the ABCs of Death, but those are like little small short films. That's probably best suited for this type of director.
And I hate that they had to make of the mom was murdered and the dad just like let the murderer go free for some reason. So that's why Light feels like he needs to kill bad guys.
Yeah.
Like everything about that was so bullshit and forced and ridiculous. And to be fair to the actors, I did say like they're really shitty, but nobody can make any of the script work. The script is awful for everybody involved.
Yeah, you could tell that Lakeith Lee Stanfield was really trying. Like he was
the police officer.
No, that was L. You could tell that he was really trying, but like I'm not. I'm gonna blame directing because first of all, L is a lot more controlled than he was. I mean, he was like shoving shit in his mouth.
Like Cartman.
Yeah. His place was a complete mess, which is totally not L.
And he also, for some reason, acted like he was coked out of his mind at all times.
I mean,
he was just like shaky and jittery and like wide-eyed and like always looked like he was having a panic attack. Which, yeah, I get that, like, you had to bring up that L likes sweets and that L doesn't sleep. But he's not, like, out of control of his body.
Yeah, and the most that you get that L doesn't sleep in the original anime is the fact that he has bags under his eyes. That's it.
You didn't have to, like, keep hammering that into the script. Like, how many times did they have to bring up the fact that he doesn't sleep? 4 or 5 times in a 100-minute movie? Why? We get it.
Yeah, and then I forgot what the Asian guy's name was. Sang to him.
Oh my god! He needed a lullaby. Like,
yeah, it was so awkward.
God.
I was watching it, just going like, "What are you doing? Like, what is this movie?" And no, it was the production design in this movie. Which I was just going to say that. Like outside of Ryuk, like what production design is there? Like what design actually exists in this movie? It seems that they just showed up on set with the bare minimum. The production designer didn't even really seem to like do any work to this film.
Well, there was like that one location that had like the stripy walls and the checkerboard floor. And it's kind of like, oh yeah, we all like Tim Burton. We get it. But other than that, there really wasn't any. Oh, no. I am going to say one thing that the movie did really well. I liked the effect of the broken Ferris wheel. Like, I don't know if that was a miniature or if it was CGI or what they did, but that shot looked really good. Where it's like pulled back and it's a shot of the city and the Ferris wheel's broken, like right in the foreground.
Yeah.
That was actually a really good shot. It looked really great and like it was there. I don't know what they did to make that happen, but that was pretty awesome. There, I said my one positive thing about the whole damn movie.
Yeah, so I'm looking at the filmography of this production designer, and like all production designers, it's mixed. He worked on Constantine. He worked on Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, ew.
Not Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Let's see if there's any notable work. I've heard some good things about All the Boys Love Mandy Lane, but I don't know about the production design of that film. A lot of these are straight to DVD, which, yeah, would explain a lot. He did the production design for The Guest, which is another that, you know, like I said, I liked, but it just, this whole thing felt rushed. Really, like that's the biggest fault I'll give this film. And I don't know if that was Netflix or what. What do you think?
Well, wasn't there a lot of stuff about, I mean, they've been trying to make the Death Note movie for a long time, and it's kind of gone back and forth between like who would distribute it and who would direct it. And I think at a certain point with a lot of those kinds of movies, they do eventually just say like, okay, we've had this property too long. Happen. And that's really what it seemed like.
Yeah, this movie didn't seem to try at all.
No. This movie did not seem to give a shit about anything, to be perfectly honest.
Which is really unfortunate, because this is a property that you could adapt and do some interesting things with.
Yeah.
Theoretically. I had talked to you
have
about some like concepts and stuff, and like maybe I'll make a video or something about that, but it definitely wasn't something like this.
Mm-hmm.
Man. So Adam Wingard, the director of this movie, is directing the new Godzilla film.
Can we make that not happen, please? Somehow. Can anybody out there just make that not happen? Okay,
so he's not making the one that's coming out next. He's making Godzilla versus Kong.
No! What? No! Oh my god. And now actually things make a little bit more sense. No! No! Okay, we've already had a Mirazilla, which was crap. And again, a couple of movies. Then you had Kong, which wasn't as crappy, but was also still pretty bad. And you gave that to somebody who has done one film. And now you're like, we're going to put the two of them together and give it to somebody who's done like only a handful of really, really tiny movies. And we're also just going to throw him a bone with the Death Note movie so he has a chance to work with mocap a little bit.
Yeah.
Just no. Can we finally just give these kaiju movies to people who are actually competent directors with actual experience? Why is that like so difficult?
Yeah, I really get frustrated with the fact that you're giving huge property, and I know this is a thing that they did in the past with various properties, but like franchise movies outside of Star Wars weren't really that huge, especially things that you took risks on with like first or second time directors.
And I'm not saying don't ever do that or anything like that. I'm just saying don't focus on doing only that just so you can have somebody under your thumb who's going to do whatever the producers fucking tell them to do and will work for nothing. Like, give a shit about your franchise, damn it. I don't have very much else to say other than there's nothing redeemable or interesting about this movie, and it's not because it's an American adaptation of an anime, even though we still have had zero good versions of that ever, besides maybe Chronicle, which they went out of their way to not make resemble Akira in any way, so that's fine. But other than that, there are no good American anime adaptations. Why do you keep doing this? Just stop it. It
Yeah.
never works. It's never good. It never makes people happy. It never pleases fans. It never makes money.
Yeah,
Why?
that's the biggest thing. These films don't make money, so why are you making them?
Because as much as I could bitch and moan about DCU and Godzilla and King Kong, those all have made a lot of money. So anyone could look at me and be like, well, there you go. It's a business. They're making money. You can't do anything about it. But none of these are successful at all.
All right, to be fair, it is on Netflix, which means that people are going to watch it just because like it shows up on their feed. So this will probably be the most successful one just because of
people
how
don't have to pay extra for
Yeah,
it.
exactly. And I guarantee that if this movie came out in a theater, it wouldn't do well. It would totally bomb.
I don't know who would see this if it came out in a theater because the trailers all look terrible. Like, it just looked like a bad movie because it is a bad movie.
I know that there would be some like weeaboos and like diehard anime fans that would see it.
No, I'm talking about casual moviegoers who don't know anything about the franchise. If they were to go to a movie theater and see a trailer for the Death Note movie, why would they actually pay to buy a ticket to go see it?
Well, there are a lot of people who watch movies just for kills. And like,
but they didn't even market like the silly murders, like how he just wrote decapitation and it had to turn into this whole thing of like a little kid runs into the street and one car swerves into another car, which hits a truck, which has a ladder, and the ladder flies into the head of the person who gets decapitated. Like,
yeah, which is totally different from the original anime series where he literally just wrote that the guy like touched the Death Note, saw the Shinigami, and then he ran outside the bus and got hit by a car. Like, that's way less complicated than this movie made things out to be.
well, in this movie, you also can't see the Shinigami even if you touch it, which makes the whole thing where like Mia just sort of accepts that Light is just talking to thin air and that it's real and doesn't think he's crazy.
Yeah, but it was also weird. Like, I know we talked about this before, but like when they literally say that you can't do anything impossible with the Death Note, why wasn't there like a scene in the movie where he tried to do something that was impossible and it just didn't work?
Well, I know I keep going back to the series, but one of the things that they specifically pointed out was like, in terms of you can't make something impossible happen, was the whole, like, you can't make somebody who doesn't know English write a message in English. And he specifically had somebody like write a message in perfect Japanese. Did he like go out of his way to specifically find a criminal that he knew for a fact understood Japanese? And also one of the other things is like, you can't make somebody say something they wouldn't normally say. Like, you can't give them a verbatim message. You have to like say they leave a suicide note or they say goodbye or something like that. Not just like, I wrote this message in perfect Japanese and the person whose name is in the Death Note will copy it exactly as I wrote it.
And, you know, just to be fair to the movie, there is a way that you could possibly make that work, you know, betray the source material for a little bit and, you know, say that, okay, so you're seeing it, you're seeing the person, and those sort of collide. Like, makes sense. But, yeah, all the rules in this were stupid.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's like, why did you make the rules more convoluted
when you have less time to work with them?
Yeah, and then you made Light dumb.
You made Light dumb, you made Il really dumb, and then you didn't even bother to have an ending.
Yeah,
like there's no ending. Nothing happens at the end, and then you have all this weird B-roll behind the scenes, like blooper reel footage in your credits that are supposed to be done seriously.
Yeah, it's so funny because like
this isn't Austin Powers. What the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's so funny because like originally, like some of the end credit stuff is pretty cool, and then it just goes to behind the scenes stuff, and yeah, it's weird. I I am like really curious if they were trying to like start up a series or something like that. But I mean, given the reception for this, I highly doubt it. Yeah, they should have wrapped it up. And why would you be so ambiguous? Like, there's really no reason, because like you can tell at like the very end of the film that L is like trying to write his name down, Light Turner, but he makes an expression on his face that suggests that he might have been killed as well, but the film gives you no indication whatsoever what that means. There isn't the little heartbeat thing that's in the anime, like whenever a character dies of a heart attack. There's nothing.
That's kind of like the whole movie, though. It's just 100 minutes of nothing. Yeah. Nothing gets accomplished. Nothing really happens. Characters don't go anywhere. Audiences aren't entertained.
And on top of that, like, let's talk about the songs.
Oh, God. Oh, God.
They were so on the nose.
Okay. Would you ever watch Death Note, the anime, and think to yourself, you know what would be great for a theme song for Light? The power of love. That just suits him so well.
Yeah, or the scene where he's walking and they're literally playing Take My Breath Away.
Yeah.
Which would make more sense if he was killing more people with heart attacks. But, like, as a killer theme, you go with that song?
I mean, it would be... It almost feels like one of those parody movies, like Vampires Suck.
Oh, yeah, or any of the movies, like Epic Movie and...
Yeah, like those, it almost feels like they were trying to do that, but you realize like they have silly things, and Death Note is not something you can make fun of well.
Well, you could. You just kind of need to be smart at doing it.
Well, you also have to have a real understanding for the source material too.
Yeah, which clearly Adam Wingard or any of the...
He claimed he read the whole series.
Once, probably.
Oh, yeah. He didn't claim that he really studied it, but, you know.
Yeah, and there have been times where I've read things and, like, I was tired and I spaced out and all that kind of stuff. And, like, you know, it happens. But, like, when you're the director of a property, you might want to, like, at least go on, like, Wikipedia or, like, you know, look up, like, a Cliff Notes version or fucking watch a YouTube video that, like, fucking, like, it explains it. Like, granted, I wouldn't want that person on the property, but, like... Even that is better than like what we got.
It almost seems like he did read the entire series in its original Japanese and just saw some cute pictures from the first 4 volumes and put that in a movie. Like, it did kind of feel like he was trying to like make up what was happening in a lot of the scenes.
Yeah, and I will say that I think some of the people that are giving this movie a pass, which you shouldn't, is because of some of the graphic kills at the very beginning of the movie, which... Like,
well, there's not even enough of those in the movie to make it, like, mindlessly entertaining. Because I don't have a problem with that. If you really just want to, like, laugh at people die in silly ways, that's fine, but... That wasn't like 100 minutes worth of entertainment in that movie.
Yeah, and this movie requires you to pay attention even when shit doesn't make sense.
Yeah, that's true. Pretty much every single part of the movie, I was just like, what? Why? What? Okay. I don't care. All right. I don't really... What? Why? And just rinse and repeat.
Yeah, So we have a commentary for this that I'm gonna go through and edit some stuff out, but I'm gonna make sure everything like syncs up with the time and everything like that. So that should be out in a week from now. So stay tuned for that. Also, if there's anything that you would like us to see, whether it be good or bad, hopefully something good, because I can only watch so many bad movies before I have to cleanse the palate. Yeah, I'm watching Terminator today because Terminator 2 came out to the theaters in 3D, and I really want to watch that. So that's what's coming out for me. Hopefully we can do a podcast on the two films to some extent. And other than that, we're still working on our 13 Reasons Why video. You really have to break down that series because it gets really complicated. And our response is coming with a lot of tact, which we blatantly criticize the show for not having. All right, so that was our live stream discussion of Death Note. Listening.